Welcome to our listeners and viewers to the very first episode of The Pulse by the Power Broker Media Group, a podcast to bring you the latest news and views from experts and leaders on the front lines. I am your host, Adrienne Reddick. Today's episode welcomes two of our top law enforcement officials, Sheriff Bob Gualtieri, Sheriff of the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department, and Chief Anthony Holloway, Chief of Police for the St. Petersburg Police Department, to discuss the new open carry law that makes Florida one of only 47 states in the U.S. to allow open gun carry throughout our cities and communities. Welcome, Chief Holloway. I want to talk about first what the open carry law means. Are we less safe? How does this change life and culture and the climate of our city? What's going on? And can you give us that overview?
Sure. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me here today. Open carry is very simple. There are already people that were carrying weapons concealed. So all it means now that people can carry their weapons open, that people can see them. Other than that, the law hasn't changed. There are places where you can and cannot carry your gun. And basically what that is if it's on a private property, the person that has the private property has the right to tell you not to bring that gun onto their property. There's also still laws in place that says where you can and cannot carry a gun, i.e. schools and government buildings. So people that want to carry open, they need to go and review the state statute, the federal state statute, to understand that they need to be responsible gun owners, and they just can't carry those guns anywhere and everywhere. Since this law has come into effect, we have not seen any issues here in the St. Petersburg area, and we're just educating people on what they can do if they see someone carrying a gun onto their property and they don't want that person there.
Okay, well then speaking of that then, what extra steps can businesses take to prohibit open carry at their locations?
So you can do two things. One, if you don't want to confront the person, you can put a sticker or something up on your door to your business to let people know that you don't want them to bring that gun into your business. Or when someone comes into your store, you can tell them, sir, ma'am, you need to leave that gun in your car. Now, once you tell that person that, they have to take that gun back. They have to take that gun off your property. They can't tell you it's open carry, I can carry my gun anywhere. You cannot, and I want to reiterate that, you cannot carry your gun onto someone's private property, or resident, or business. If that person calls us and you refuse to leave, now you're going to be charged. That person with the gun is going to be charged with a felony trespass. And let me also, I'm talking to people who need to understand it too. If you're open carrying a gun and you commit a crime, it up to charge to a felony. So a good example, you're shoplifting and you steal a pack of gum. Well, now it's armed shoplifting. So from coming from a misdemeanor, now it becomes a felony.
Okay, very good information. Thank you. Is there any place where we can see a list where open carry is a no-no?
You can go on to our webpage and take a look at it. I know the sheriff put one out, and I know there's several places that you can go online and just look it up, and it'll list all the places where you cannot carry a gun. And again, I want to reiterate to people that you cannot carry it onto a business or private property if the owner or their representatives tell you they do not bring that gun onto their property.
Okay. So we've got open carry, we've got concealed carry, right? What's the difference?
Excuse me. The only thing there's a big difference, thank you for that question. The only thing is the big difference is that you can see the person carrying a gun. There are still a lot of people that are carrying their guns concealed, but they still have to abide by the laws. Again, if you go into a business and they see it, they can still tell you to take that gun and put it back, take it back to your car, take it back home. And thank you for that question, because people also say, well, I have a concealed weapons permit. Just because you have a concealed weapon permit doesn't give you the right, again, to carry that gun onto someone's property if they tell you they do not want it on their property.
Okay. So there's a permit for concealed carry, no permit for open carry. Are there concerns about increased violence with open carry?
No, there isn't. We just feel like, if somebody's going to see someone with a gun, is that going to escalate now when it comes into an argument? Is someone going to say, well, you got a gun, or I'll get my gun? So it's coming back to being responsible owners of guns, that people just should recognize that's a big responsibility when you carry a gun. And then again, when the police officers show up, that remember that officer, his or her safety is important to them, just like the community. And we ask you not to touch that gun while we're talking to you, or while we're in your presence.
Okay. I noticed that Publix has indicated that open carry is permissible in their stores. What should shoppers do if they're confronted? Like if I go to my current Publix down the street and now I see someone in Publix with a gun, what should I do as a citizen?
Just be aware of your surrounding and know that person has a right to carry a gun in Publix, and just move around him. Don't try to confront that person about the gun. Just continue doing your shopping, and that's all you can do.
Okay. And then I think you said at the beginning, we haven't seen anything just yet within St. Petersburg, any increased violence, any incidents?
I'm sorry. No, we have not seen anything since this law came into effect.
What can stores or businesses do for the stickers you mentioned earlier? Is there someone where they can pick those up?
Well, I know the downtown chamber had some type of design, so you may want to take a look at that, or you can develop your own sign, or you can put up a sign, no weapons allowed in this business.
So any kind of sign, it doesn't have to be an official. Whatever they put in the window indicates no weapons allowed.
That is correct. There is no official sign. The way we look at it is, at least you're telling that person before they enter your business, so there won't be any confrontation, hopefully, that the person will see before they open your door to your business. Oh, I can't carry my gun in there. I need to take it back to my car.
Okay. And who should the public call with any concerns or questions?
They still should call the police department, our non-emergency number, if you're just asking questions, or you can call 911 if it's an emergency that you feel like you're in some type of danger.
Well, Chief, those are the questions that I have for today around open carry. I want to thank you so much for your willingness to come on and talk to the audience about open carry so that we become more informed. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me here, and thank you for educating our community, because they need to be made aware of the new law changes.
Again, welcome, Sheriff Gualtieri. I just want to start by asking a couple of questions for you. So first, though, I want to take a moment to have you share a little bit about you, your role as sheriff of Florida's 7th largest county, which is home to no less than 24 municipalities, where you're from, how long you've been sheriff, maybe something about you that our audience would be surprised to know.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about what they'd be surprised to know. I've been here a long time. Originally from upstate New York, but that's many years ago. I started my career here at the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office 43 years ago.
Wow.
I was working in the jail. This is my 15th year as the Pinellas County Sheriff. So I've been in office for a fair amount of time now. And things are good. Best thing that I tell people is that Pinellas County is a very safe place. Overall crime is low. All the law enforcement agencies work very well together. The sheriff has jurisdiction throughout the entire county, so my responsibility is throughout the entire county, from the north part in Tarpon Springs to the south end of St. Petersburg. So we have a presence throughout the county, but we all work collaboratively and work toward that common goal of making sure Pinellas County remains as safe as possible for our residents. And of course, the visitors are very important to us, because tourism is the number one driver in Florida, number one driver in Pinellas County. So we want to make sure that our reputation is one where people can come and enjoy themselves in a safe manner, and that's a goal we all share.
Thank you for that. I, as a resident, am thankful for the things that you do to make sure that we are safe, so we appreciate it. So let's set the stage for and bring people up to speed on what open carry is, what it means, what changes may be ahead in the upcoming legislative session.
Well, as far as the upcoming legislative session, I don't know. It is up to the legislature as to what they may or may not do. I can tell you what the history is, and I can tell you what the current landscape is. As far as the history is that the open carry of firearms, whether it be a handgun or a rifle, was prohibited under Florida law unless somebody was going to or from hunting or fishing or, again, other very limited activities. So the general premise is that you could not openly carry. You couldn't walk down 34th Street. You couldn't walk up and down Gulf Boulevard. You couldn't go into a restaurant and take your gun out and set it on the table while you're eating dinner. So you could not openly carry a firearm. Even if you weren't doing anything wrong with it, you couldn't openly carry it, except for those very, very narrow exceptions. There are other statutes, and those other statutes remain in place that prohibit someone from carrying a firearm openly in a improper way. And it's called improper exhibition. So in a rude, careless, angry, or threatening manner. So those laws were always there, and those laws still remain today. So what happened now, probably about 6 weeks ago or so, is that there was a guy who got arrested up in the Panhandle in Pensacola. And he intentionally got arrested. He was going to test this. He stood in the middle of an intersection up there on a July 4th holiday and stuck a gun in his waistband and baited the cops to arrest him so that he could test this in court. And the cops arrested him, and it went through the court process. And what he was testing was the constitutionality of that Florida law. And what he claimed is that Florida law that says you can't openly carry firearms, again, walking down Central Avenue or wherever it may be in an open manner. And in his case, standing in the middle of an intersection in Pensacola, he said. So the initial trial court said that the law is constitutional and convicted him of the offense of open carry of a firearm. He appealed it to the appellate court that sits up in that North Florida area. It's called the First District Court of Appeals. And the First District Court of Appeals said, no, it's unconstitutional. That statute is unconstitutional. And when the appellate court deemed it unconstitutional, and I won't get into all the legal stuff, but the short version of it is that it nullified that statute throughout the entire state of Florida. So now that what it means is that this law that we have that says you can't openly carry firearms evaporated. It went away. So what we're left with is that you can openly carry firearms. And so it causes still some confusion and some concern because the other laws that are on the books were passed by the legislature against the backdrop of clearly having a law that prohibits open carry. So when you had a blanket no open carry, and I'll give you an example of one of the challenges that we have today. There's another statute that says is that you cannot openly carry a firearm on school property, on a school bus, at a school bus stop, or at a school-sanctioned event. Well, we all know what on school property means. We all know what on a school bus means. But they didn't have to get very specific, and they didn't have to worry about defining at a school bus stop. Why? Because it says, well, you can't carry it at a school bus stop. But we don't have to get all that detailed about it because we got this other law over here that says you can't carry openly anyway. But now that thing gone, it evaporated, right? So now, and for your viewers or for anybody else, tell me, what's a school bus stop mean? Where is it?
Right.
Is it 15 feet from the middle of the intersection? Is it on this corner, that corner? So, the school bus stop is at, I don't know, we'll say 9th Avenue North and 34th Street. And it's on a corner, but somebody brings their kid to school and they're openly carrying on the sidewalk, and parents are saying, oh, this guy's openly carrying a gun. And somebody says, well, you can't carry it at a bus stop. Well, where's the bus stop?
Right.
So again, that's what poses. So it's things like that. So the general premise now is that you can openly carry a firearm in any public space that is not private space. So what do I mean by that? It means is that if you want to carry an AR-15 and 3 9mm handguns and you want to walk down Central Avenue, there's nothing anybody can do about it. If you want to carry an AR-15 and a handgun and you want to walk into Publix, you can do that as long as Publix says it's okay. So private property owners, such as shopping centers, restaurants, grocery stores, etc., always have the right to exclude anybody when they are carrying a firearm, whether it's open or concealed. So if you take a business that says, look, I don't want anybody in this business openly carrying a firearm, then you can't be in there openly carrying. It doesn't give you the right to do that. It makes it so that it's not a violation of law, but it doesn't force that private business to allow it. So in the case of a restaurant, if somebody walks into the restaurant, takes out their gun and sits it on the table while they're eating dinner, and the restaurant says, that's not a good look, we don't want that in here, you've got to leave. And the person says, well, no, I have a Second Amendment right to openly carry. No, you don't. Not in there, you don't. And if you don't leave, you're really setting yourself up for a problem, because if you refuse to leave, you're going to get arrested for armed trespass, which is a third-degree felony, and that's a bad thing. So, but if the restaurant, or in the case now, and I'll just say it because it's public knowledge, Publix has decided by policy that they're not going to prohibit people from openly carrying. So,
Correct.
So if you want to walk down the cereal aisle at Publix and carry your AR-15 or your 9mm or whatever, and there's another problem with it, is there's no law that prohibits anybody from openly carrying by carrying the gun in their hand. So as long as you're not carrying it, it doesn't have to be holstered, it doesn't have to be secure, it doesn't have to be anything. So if you're walking in Publix and you want to walk down the cereal aisle and you want to have your 9mm in your hand, you can do that, as long as you're not carrying it in an improper way.
Okay.
So improper means rude, careless, angry, or threatening. So if you're just walking down the road or down the aisle and you got it in your hand and it's pointed at the ground, that's not unlawful. If Publix wants to allow that, Publix can allow that. So there are also what we call, or what the law calls, sensitive spaces. There's about 15 locations that you can't carry, and that is where the city council meets, where the county commission meets, courthouses, airports. There's about 15 places that also prohibit it. So as long as you're not in one of those 15 places, you're not in one of those other places like a school bus stop, a school sanctioned event, etc., or any other statute that prohibits it, it's fair game. And again, any place in public. So, and then there's some places that are probably, there's some nuance to it. There's probably some places that is it public, is it not? But the overall concept is that anybody can openly carry a handgun, a long gun, a shotgun, an AR-15, whatever they want, as long as it's not an improper exhibition, which means rude, careless, angry, or threatening, as long as they're not disqualified from possessing the firearm because they're a convicted felon or they have a domestic violence injunction against them or anything like that. They can carry wherever they want as long as it's not in a place that's prohibited or on private property where the owner of the property has said, you can't carry here. So the universe is wide open unless there's something else. But that statute that blanketly prohibits open carry, that's gone. Okay. So that's, and what the legislature is going to do, I don't know. I have no idea. They go into session in January. A lot of discussion. There's been bills filed. That'll be up to the legislature to decide whether they want to go in and try and clean up some of this, tweak it, or whether they just let it sit the way it is. I don't know. I can't predict that.
Well, you gave us a lot of information around it. Thank you for the education. I think you mentioned Publix, right? And there have been a lot of reactions to the fact that open carry is now legal. It's ranged from fear to panic to applause. Have you seen anything, and you said it's been in effect about 6 weeks now, have there been any arrests or incidents of violence that you can see as related to open carry? No, we haven't had really any impact at all. Okay. We see very few people doing it. Personally, I haven't seen anybody doing it. There are reports of it, but
it's few and far between, to be honest with you. We haven't had any issues because of it.
Well, that's good to know. So finally, Sheriff, because I know your time is limited for us, what advice or words of warning to gun owners would you give, and where can county residents go to find more information about their own safety?
Well, as far as gun owners are concerned, I mean, the big thing that I would tell any gun owner is to just be responsible. Do it in the right way. Do it in a way that's courteous, and do it in a way that's responsible. And if you want to protect yourself through responsible gun ownership, I support that. But it just needs to be done in a responsible way. And I think one of the questions that we all would be well served to ask ourselves as we proceed through this path of life is that, and this is the adage, is just because you can doesn't mean you should. So is it a good thing to do? Is it the right thing to do? For me, I mean, if you walk into a restaurant and you're having dinner and you want to carry your gun because you think that you need to protect yourself, do it in a prudent way, do it in a responsible way, carry it concealed. Nobody needs to know. And if the time comes where you're threatened and something's got to happen, you got to take action, then you can do it in a smart way, in a tactical way. It doesn't mean that you take it out and you lay it on the table while you're eating your pizza and everybody's got to look at it, because there's no purpose served in that other than you're just trying to poke the bear and let people see that you're doing it, and you're doing it because you can, not because you should. So, I think just be responsible about it and do it in a smart way, and, everything will be fine. I think as far as information goes, our website, which is pcsoweb.com, has the information on it. A lot of resources out there in general about public safety. I know the St. Petersburg Police Department has information out there. We have our community relations section, as do the police departments, and if people need any information about it, generally about tips, they can contact those agencies.
Okay, thank you. Well, Sheriff Gualtieri, thank you so much for joining us today for our introduction to the Pulse podcast. We appreciate your time, and this was great information. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome.